welcome to Jess on the Mountain, a podcast about yoga, chakras, and becoming your own guru. Today we are delving into the practice of looking for the good, for seeking the delightful, because it is good for you, body, mind, and soul. If you want to check in with your own chakra system, how you're doing now, and where you could use a little shoring up, you can access 2 of my resources for self-study on my podcast page, jessgoulding.com/podcast. There, you will find a link to my 3-question Quickie quiz, as well as the more in-depth chakra check-in self-assessment. That's at jessgoulding.com/podcast, as well as linked here in the show notes. Today, we continue our journey up the mountain, up the liberating current, and we arrive in chakra 6, ajna, which means to perceive and to command. It's located at the third eye, the brow point. And in the contemporary model, the color is indigo. It is the seat of our intuition, our thoughts, and our perception of the world and our situations. Here, we ask the question, am I seeing this right? And we work to remove obstacles to true vision. We aim to see the patterns in our lives and reveal samskara, or our habitual behaviors, those that we have built up over time. So because the way we see things is what dictates how we respond to situations, how we feel about situations, and how we think and how we engage with others, it is exceedingly important to investigate and hopefully improve the way we see the world. We do have some control here, and it's a practice. When I was doing my teacher training back in New York City in 2003, it was in the lineage of Anusara Yoga, developed by John Friend, who came out of the Iyengar yoga tradition. In this particular way of teaching, there is a great importance placed on the theme of the class. It was a heart-based practice that also had a very strong alignment component. Basically, we were to facilitate awakening the hearts of our students to beauty and grace, and help their whole body, mind, and spirit come into alignment with that awakening. It was a really beautiful style of teaching and learning, and it changed the way I saw the world, off the mat as well. So as these teachers, it is our charge to inspire our students with something, a story or an example from ancient scripture or an aphorism, something that they can apply both to their physical postures and to their lives off the mat. Now, because I was a new teacher, I didn't have a lot of text or aphorisms in my tool bag yet, so I leaned on my experience. This means I had to get deep into the practice of what was called looking for the good. I remember carrying around a little notebook with me so I could keep notes of inspiring things that I saw. And because I was looking, I started to see inspiration everywhere. The funniest one I remember was sitting in the Port Authority bus terminal. I was waiting for a bus to New Jersey, and there was a pigeon stuck inside our little waiting area with us. He was just walking around, being a pigeon. He didn't seem particularly concerned that he was encased in a glass box with us. He just strutted his stuff and ignored us humans. I remember watching him and thinking to myself, now here's a guy who's completely out of his element. He's not even the same species as the rest of us. He looks, walks, and talks completely different from everyone else in this situation, and yet he continues to be full-on pigeon. He didn't seem to try to change anything about himself or fit in or try to look cool. He just kept on pigeoning. And I found that I loved this about him. He was delightful. To me, he was the good that was happening in that boring bus terminal. So in my next class, we were inspired by Mr. Pigeon to be completely ourselves in our postures. We may not feel like we fit in a triangle or an intermediate class or with the group of yogis around us, but that will not stop us from being our whole selves in full alignment with who and how we are when we are our most authentic. And that's going to give you the best poses. That's going to give you the best feelings. And yes, the peak pose was pigeon, in case you're wondering. Now, why do I bring this up as a Chakra 6 activity? Well, it's because if I hadn't been looking at the world around me and expecting to see something inspiring, I would have missed Mr. Pigeon. Ajna is to perceive, like actually seeing the pigeon, and to command, or assign it meaning. So my sixth chakra decision to see the good lesson the pigeon was giving us is what did it, not the pigeon itself. This is the practice. Unfortunately, this works in the other direction as well. One could have also seen the bus terminal as simply boring, smelly, or a nuisance to living in the city. Both things can, and actually are quite true. But where would you prefer to align your mind, which your heart will follow, and which will be expressed in your posture and breath? Yes, I too would rather see the kick-ass pigeon than focus on the fumes. But see, the body, mind, and spirit line up around our perception. So the choices we make regarding our thoughts as we observe a scene or situation really matters. It's a superpower to have choice in this regard, and a balanced sixth chakra gives us that opportunity. Where you align your mind, your heart will follow, and it will be expressed in your posture and breath. Jess on the Mountain is brought to you by my online course, Chakra Savvy, Reset Your Life Game Plan. It's a 7-month online deep dive into the chakras to take you from feeling unsettled, upended, and questioning your direction to feeling grounded, confident, and happy in your life by harnessing the power of the chakras. You can check it out or join the waitlist at jessgoulding.com/chakrasavvy. With Chakra Savvy Reset Your Life Game Plan, you gain access to the yoga practices, breathing techniques, meditations, and lifestyle suggestions that help harmonize your system and bring you a sense of balance and ease to your everyday life. So that's at jessgoulding.com/chakrasavvy. Join the waitlist, and you'll be the first to know the next time a cohort begins. In keeping with this season's theme of delight, I read The Book of Delights by Ross Gay. This book was really fun to have on my nightstand. I got to finish each day with a little minutia of his life where he sought to delight in the world around him. Usually, these moments came with casual interactions with dear friends, or working in his garden, and through happenstance encounters with strangers. His poignant reflections made me laugh and think and remember moments from my own life that had a similar delight to them, whether I recognized it at the time or not. In February of 2019, Ari Shapiro interviewed Ross Gay on National Public Radio's show All Things Considered. In this interview, I got a little background on how Ross Gay went about sharpening his lens to see the delights in his everyday life. In undertaking this project, he quickly realized a few things. First, he had to be really attentive. He gave himself this homework to, as they called it, scrounge for delights. Some days it's not going to be obvious what's going great out there or what's delightful. You have to actively look. You have to be very attentive to what's in front of you because there will be something. You just have to pay attention. And then because of the dailiness of the practice of looking for delights, his attention, as he said, became cultivated, or it became more automatic. It became easier and easier for his eyes to seek and find what's delightful. It became more automatic that a delightful scene would show itself and he would realize, oh my gosh, this is actually quite delightful. That was how his brain was getting trained. That was how ajna was getting focused. Then they accumulate. And as soon as the things that he used to not notice came front and center, it allowed him to meditate on them, and then boom, more delight. Accumulation is a big part of yoga and Ayurveda. Things have to build up in your system, and you can build up and go towards disease, or you can build up and go towards health and wellness. They both take time and accumulation. So every time you will pause and find something delightful and take it in with your eyes, and it takes 15 seconds of really looking. It takes that long for your brain to register something beautiful and delightful that you want to remember. So you can accumulate what's delightful, or you have the choice to go to the automatic response that the brain has to just accumulate what's negative. And you know people that fall in both of these camps. So you get to decide, you get to command for yourself, which one do you want to be? So they accumulate, and then you can meditate on them. And it's the meditation on them that fosters the delight, the turning them around like a jewel, and you see the different facets of this delightful encounter. One thing I enjoyed that he said is that he was surprised by how often the delights are in relationship, often with strangers. So I'm going to read to you just a paragraph from the interview, and I hope that you take from this some inspiration for your own searching for delight. He says, I suppose I could spend time theorizing how it is that people are not bad to each other, but that's really not the point. The point is that in almost every instance of our lives, our social lives, we are, if we pay attention, in the midst of an almost constant, if subtle, caretaking. Holding doors open, offering elbows at crosswalks, letting someone else go first, helping with the heavy bags, reaching what's too high or what's been dropped, pulling someone back to their feet, stopping at the car wreck, at the struck dog, the alternating merge, also known as the zipper. This caretaking is our default mode, and it's always a lie that convinces us to act or believe otherwise. Always. I love this list. I love this list. I want to participate in this list. I hope you do. I mean, if we are seeing each other, if you're making eye contact with the people who check out at the grocery store, if you are noticing other people with you at the bus stop, if you are putting down your phone and seeing the butterfly that is approaching your shoulder, you have a different perspective on the world. If you see people helping each other, that's what's going to accumulate in you, and then you will see more and more and more of it. It's like when you buy a car and then all of a sudden you see it everywhere, right? It's a practice. And I love how he saw all these beautiful pieces of subtle caretaking. And y'all, it's going on. It is happening. Contrary to what we might be told, beauty is happening. Delight might be challenging right now, but it is available to us. We only have to practice. Now, every chakra has its downside or its shadow. And in this case, avoiding the dark or only looking at the good because you don't want to see or face the dark, or what you might call spiritual bypassing or Pollyanna syndrome, this is not helpful. So, seeing what is delightful does not mean you don't see the issues. It doesn't mean that at all. We have to see the issues if we're going to deal with them. It's just that that's not what we let accumulate in us. Hopefully, those are the things that would cause us to take action. So, what if paying attention causes you to see some ugliness in people? Maybe you will notice new things around you that are out of alignment with joy or delight. This is important. You have to, we have to all address what is darkness, and then bringing the light to it. The element of chakra 6 is light. Shine a light on it, and now we can actually deal with it. We can apply right effort. We can right someone. We can take action. Looking for the good does not mean we are to be avoiding the dark or spiritual bypassing or even only seeing the glass half full. Seeing the glass half full is important, but you need to see the whole glass. So the ugliness is out there. This is true. However, your brain is going to pick up on that real quick. Your brain's got that one down. It's the delight that requires practice. So you don't need to write me and say, Jess, what about spiritual bypassing? I know the dark is there. Do you really not see it? If you don't see it, it will show itself somehow. This is a practice of looking for the delight so that our minds and our bodies and our spirits are aligned in that direction. So let's take a little practice. Let's make a little practice for ourselves. You can do this. I would encourage you, do it every day this week. A new homework assignment from Jess in becoming your own guru about taking the time for yourself to notice what's good so that you are in touch with the delights in your life. So begin by rubbing your palms together briskly. And it just creates some nice heat, and it calls you to be attentive to the here and now, to the sound of your hands and to the feeling of the heat. Then take these warmed hands and cover your eyes. Cover the sockets. So you don't need to put pressure on your eyeballs. Just cover the sockets with your palms and feel the warmth there. Now, with your eyes closed, covered by your palms, slow down and notice your breath. Feel the breath coming in and note your breath going out. Do this as many times as you need to feel like you've arrived and you are present. Once you feel that you're arrived and present, keeping your palms over your eyes, slowly open your eyes. Then, when your eyes are open, slowly remove your hands. Now you see the room around you or the world around you. Let your eyes just dance around the room or just dance around where you are. Let them settle on something that catches your attention, right? Wherever your eyes kind of hover for a moment, pause and ask, what is good about this thing? Right? You settle on something plain and simple. You might not have noticed it in your room before, or you haven't given this attention in the past. But what is good? What makes this thing surprisingly useful or memorable? What does it inspire in you? Or what makes it interesting? What is an aspect or quality of this object that you hadn't noticed before? Right? So now you accumulate that, you hold that. Once you've been meditating on that, just for about a minute, notice how you feel. Notice your relationship with your room. Notice the feeling in your face as you are seeking something that is delightful. When I did this practice, I let my eyes settle on a paperclip. It had never occurred to me that this is a pretty cool little instrument. It's just a wire done in such a way that it can hold two things together. I mean, we don't even have to grab a stapler. We don't have to do anything but just slip it over the papers we want to keep together. And now they come in these bright colors. My paperclip is pink. I mean, who'd thought that a paperclip could be delightful, but it can be. I don't know. What was yours? Let me know. What would happen if you made a practice of this? I dare you to find out what would happen if every day, several times, just pause, cover your eyes, breathe, then look at your room and find something delightful. You want bonus points? Write it down. Start a little delight journal. Then you're really accumulating something. Your mind will be different, even in a week. Even in a week. So if you do this, please let me know. You can DM me on Facebook or Instagram on Jess G Yoga, or go to the contact page of jessgoulding.com. I really would love to hear these silly little things that you're delighting in. I love these conversations, and I'd love to hear what you see out there. What delights are right in front of you that you didn't even see before? Join me next week for the last podcast in our Delight series. We'll explore how an open and blooming Sahasrara, the crown chakra, involves being part of a community, and how as yoga therapists, we're trained to make sure our clients are connected to one, and why it makes such a difference to our overall well-being to be connected to community. As always, I can't thank you enough for listening. It is a joy to even just imagine you out there. I delight in my imagination as I think of you listening to this and covering your eyes, and hopefully not while you're driving. So thank you for tuning in. I would love it if you would please subscribe, rate, and give a positive, delightful review for this podcast. That will help it grow and help us know that we're changing the lives of people. And so, my friends, may you go out and see the good. Scrounge for the delights in your day. Let them accumulate within you like a collection of shiny jewels. And may your sparkle and delight spread to the friends and strangers you encounter today and every day. Much love.